Well, here we go again. Another local TV news person using a newscast to accuse their own station of corruption. Now, do you know how hard it is to get into local TV news? There are talented people who never make it to markets as large as Houston or Detroit because there's just so much competition for so few jobs. And yet, here we have another person with one of those jobs willing to throw it all away.
Around 8 a.m. And speaking of a brand new week, I will be sitting down this week with Project Veritas to discuss the discrimination that CBS is enforcing upon its employees.
It's not about me. They have no idea what it's like to be burdened with this and feeling like I'm watching my country disintegrate.
She's watching her country disintegrate. That perhaps tips you off that some of what this person is going to accuse her station and CBS of may have very little to do with television and a lot more to do with politics. But let's listen.
We really want you to get vaccinated. In fact, we'll even pay you. So you're setting a standard within the workplace already of segregating coworkers, and I should not be discriminated against.
So what this brave insider has stepped forward to tell us is that she really did not want to have to wear a mask at work, and she didn't want to have to get vaccinated against COVID-19. She wanted to be able to kind of do her thing at the station regardless of what CBS and the station's policies were to protect, all the other employees.
This issue is not just about me. I'm watching our whole nation suffer because they're put underneath these policies that are enacted by corporations. And this is a human rights issue. And every American and every person on earth has the right to breathe fresh air.
Here's what my experience was like in, 20 to 25 years in local television. Most of the stations I worked for, they didn't even have windows in the newsroom, okay? There was not a lot of fresh air. And in the field, I spent most of my time, working in live trucks and satellite trucks. There were gas-powered generators that seeped fumes into the work area. I also sat outside the satellite trucks where there were warnings about RF radiation. So, this idea that she should really have fresh air makes me not so sympathetic. Perhaps a better career choice, if you want fresh air, would be, wildlife officer or park attendant, something like that. Television news, you're gonna get dirty. It's just the way it is.
And to segregate somebody is completely inhumane.
So it's that segregation of the employees at CBS that is what you are speaking up against.
Right.
Segregate. That's the word she chose. Segregate. Because she wanted to be at the station without being vaccinated and without wearing a mask. And also, by the way, not sharing any results of COVID tests. That's segregation in her view.
It's an unfortunate thing, James, but it's not just happening to me. It's happening all across the world.
Now, this next part's a little weird, but essentially what she accuses CBS of doing is a public service effort to try and convince people to get vaccinated against COVID-19. No, this was not a public service effort involving CBS 62 or even CBS television. In fact, it was a CBS Viacom effort that involved MTV and Comedy Central Brazil.
Comenta aí, eu tô de olho. Beijo e esse foi mais MTV.
Now remember, this is a meteorologist in Detroit. Her charges of corruption against her station involve an effort between MTV and Comedy Central Brazil.
Is this news? Is this journalism?
I don't think that this is journalism at all. I think that this is propaganda being pushed on people.
Well, no, it's actually not journalism. It is a public service campaign. Now, if you want to be an anti-vaxxer, have at it. Enjoy yourself. Good luck, by the way, with the Delta variant.
Idiotando, episódio duplo.
But saying that CBS supporting a public service effort in Brazil, currently being ravaged by the coronavirus, is somehow corruption or propaganda, you lost me.
So basically, when I knew that I was hosting this show for International Women's Month, I was basically asked, hey, give us your feedback on who would you like to have on the show? Give us some ideas. So one of the people that I mentioned was, oh, it would be amazing to have Candace Owens. I'd love to interview her. And she is somebody that I admire and respect. And the response that came back was, well, she's too political. We're not going to have her on. There are people within our organization who definitely know that CBS has a slant, and it slants more to the left. No longer is true journalism being executed anymore. I feel like it is one of the greatest crimes, really, in history right now.
So you wanted to interview Candace Owens. The station preferred you interview someone relevant to the story, and this is your basis for accusing your station of being part of the greatest crime in history. I'm trying to be sympathetic here, but look, let me say this. I understand where you're coming from, April. I do. I worked for 25 years in local television news, and I always wanted to interview David Bowie, okay? I always wanted to get the David Bowie interview. And every single time, the people in the newsroom would always say, no, you can't go try and get an interview with David Bowie today because you've got to cover the county commission. You've got to do this other story about things that are actually happening in this town. And they kept keeping me from that David Bowie interview. That, my friend, is the greatest crime ever. Ever.
So I'm not actually a very good writer, but my choices are very good. That's my strength.
April, look, now you've been fired. You are free of CBS. You are free of Detroit weather. You are free to focus on breathing clean air. And now you can go and try and get that Candace Owens interview. Come on. David Bowie is dead, but Candace Owens is alive. You can try and get the interview of your dreams. But you know what? Try not to crap on all the people you worked with as you head out the door, because that's just gross.